Hi guys, Denise from Fascinating Cases here. There's something unsettling when a celebrity dies. We feel like we know that person, and it can bother us. Now, I hope you're not hearing that construction outside because it's been going on for a month. There's nothing I can do about it, so bear with me, and I'm sorry. Anyway, it is especially shocking when a celebrity meets an untimely, strange death. Today, 3 celebrity deaths that leave us with a lot of questions. First up, Bob Crane. He was clearly murdered in June of 1978 at the age of 49. But to this day, it remains unsolved. Authorities believe they know who did it, but they couldn't prove it. Bob Crane started out in radio. He hosted a popular radio show in Los Angeles, but soon he landed the role of Colonel Robert Hogan in the popular TV show Hogan's Heroes. It ran from 1965 to 1971. After its run, Crane's career slumped a little bit, and he turned to acting in dinner theater to make a living. Bob Crane was quite the ladies' man, too. He dated several of his co-stars, among others, and he had lots of random hookups. During Hogan's Heroes, Crane met John Carpenter, who sold electronics and video equipment. The two soon were trolling bars and nightclubs. Crane, of course, was popular because of his celebrity status, and he said Carpenter was his manager. There was no lack of willing women, and Carpenter and Bob Crane recorded their encounters with the women. Now, whether the women knew they were being recorded is not clear. Many of them did come forward after Crane's death to say they had no idea. These videotape encounters lasted for years, and Crane had quite the library to prove it. Then on June 29th, Crane's body was discovered in his apartment in Scottsdale, Arizona. His dinner theater co-star checked on him because he had missed a meeting, and when he didn't show up, she went to his apartment. Crane was in bed, bludgeoned to death. He had an electrical cord wrapped around his neck. The crime scene didn't say much. No forced entry, nothing stolen. But all those videotapes led police right to John Carpenter. They searched his car, which had blood smears in it that matched Bob Crane's type. That's all they had, though. No DNA back then. With no evidence, the case went cold. For years, no charges. But it was reopened in 1990. DNA testing could not determine whose blood was in John Carpenter's car. But there was a photograph of the car's interior that showed a chunk of what was presumed to be brain tissue. It was just a photograph, but a judge ruled it could be used as evidence, and John Carpenter was arrested and tried. At the trial, Crane's son testified that his dad wanted to cut ties with John Carpenter. Carpenter had to go because he was too obnoxious and he was clingy and becoming a nuisance. Others testified that the two were still good friends. The prosecution said the murder weapon was likely a tripod, but nothing could be proven. Other theories were put forth.
One theory is that somebody was mad because of Mr. Crane's activities with their woman and perhaps took it out on him.
It's thought the killer had easy access to Crane's apartment and went in while Crane was asleep in bed.
Whoever the murderer was had access to the apartment, either to a key or had been there earlier and maybe left one of the doors or windows unsecured and was able to gain entrance without alerting Mr. Crane.
The police were accused of bungling the investigation, and ultimately, John Carpenter was found not guilty. He died in 1998. Prosecutors believe they had their man. They couldn't prove it. Thoughts? I think John Carpenter most likely did it. I think Crane was likely going to cut off his steady stream of women. Next up is Natalie Wood, an award-winning popular actress who started out very young. Who hasn't seen Miracle on 34th Street? She starred in lots of other movies throughout her career, like Rebel Without a Cause and Splendor in the Grass. Natalie Wood was married a few times, twice to actor Robert Wagner. Wagner himself was a very famous popular actor. He did a lot of movies, and he starred in the TV show Heart to Heart. And that's who she was with the night she died, Robert Wagner. Natalie Wood drowned after falling off his yacht called the Splendor in November of 1981.
Actress Natalie Wood is dead at 43, the apparent victim of a drowning accident off Santa Catalina Island in California.
Her death was immediately called accidental, but it was surrounded by mystery. She was on the yacht with Wagner and her co-star, Christopher Walken. Natalie Wood and Christopher Walken were filming a movie together called Brainstorm. Wood was found in the water in the early morning, 1 mile from the yacht, and there was a small dinghy floating nearby. But she had bruises on her body, a cut on her face. The captain of the boat said Wagner and Wood were arguing the night of the accident. A loud, bad argument, something Wagner initially denied, and then he admitted. Her death was called a drowning. She had been drinking as well. Authorities thought Wood might have tried to board the dinghy and leave the yacht and head into town. But her sister Lana said Natalie was terrified of water and couldn't swim, and there was no way she would willingly go into the water on her own or take a small boat. Natalie Wood hated the water, which is something she talked about openly.
I've always been terrified, still am, of water, dark water, seawater.
What about those bruises, though? Robert Wagner himself believes that Natalie slipped and hit something on her way down into the water on the dinghy, and that would explain the bruising. Natalie Wood's death was called an accidental drowning. But in 2011, things changed. The case was reopened, and her cause of death was changed from accidental to undetermined. There was more evidence to go over and more witnesses that came forward, including that ship captain, Dennis DeVerne.
I just didn't want my whole life to go by without having the truth come out.
Investigators believe something very sinister happened to Natalie Wood, that she was the victim of a beating and then thrown into the water. The 3 men on the boat that night all told investigators the same story. Natalie most likely tried boarding the dinghy in the middle of the night and went to shore. Ridiculous, investigators said. She was afraid of the water, and it was a dark, rainy night.
Why would Natalie Wood, this big movie star, try to go out in a dinghy in the middle of the night in her socks, in her pajamas, at midnight, in rough seas?
Robert Wagner was reportedly jealous of Christopher Walken. He believed his wife was enamored with him, maybe. And the two were even having an affair. And this is what caused the heated argument between Natalie and Robert Wagner. It was also alcohol-fueled. Wagner thought his wife was paying too much attention to her co-star. The captain, Dennis DeVerne, also told investigators a different story than he originally did.
I light a couple candles. I opened a bottle of wine. Natalie and Christopher continued to giggle, just having fun. And then Robert Wagner, out of the clear blue, picked up the bottle of wine and smashed it.
Robert Wagner and Natalie went to their cabin where they argued some more. And DeVerne overheard it all, everything, and got concerned. He even confronted Wagner, who told him to go away. The argument went to the back of the boat outside. And nearby boats, people on nearby boats, overheard the commotion. Then it was quiet. Wagner told DeVerne that Natalie is gone. But Robert Wagner refused to call authorities. He wanted to just keep drinking. He said Natalie went into town on the dinghy. Finally, the Coast Guard was called, and that's when they found Natalie's body. Robert Wagner told Christopher Walken and the captain to stick to the same story, which they did for years. She got on that dinghy and went. No mention of a fight in the beginning. DeVerne said he agreed because he was afraid of Robert Wagner. Natalie's sister said she believed Robert Wagner assaulted her sister and pushed her into the water, and then released the dinghy to cover it up. A crime of passion. As years went by, Robert Wagner did change his story a bit. He said the dinghy was banging up against the boat, keeping Natalie awake, and she got up to retie it. And that's when she slipped into the water. 100% false, investigators say.
That's not her. That's not her job. She would never go worry about the dinghy. She'd go tell Dennis DeVerne, hey, can you go tie that dinghy down? It's making noise. That's his job.
Investigators can't prove anything, and no charges were ever filed. Christopher Walken stayed very quiet about the whole thing. Robert Wagner is now 95 years old, and he's still sticking to that story. Next, an old Hollywood mystery, the death of actress Thelma Todd. She started out in beauty pageants, and soon she made her way to the movies, silent films in the beginning. This was a while ago. She was a comedic actress, and she was known by the nicknames the Hot Toddy and the Ice Cream Blonde. Movie producers thought she could be the next Laurel and Hardy. She even starred with the duo in the movie The Bohemian Girl in 1935. Then, Todd died mysteriously at the age of 29. Although Thelma Todd was a very successful actress, she was still fighting the dark side of Hollywood. She was told to stay thin or else. And she was a victim of the Hollywood casting couch. You do this for me, I'll do this for you. She also had a rough marriage to Pat DiCicco, who had ties to the mob. She divorced him after saying that he was abusive. Thelma Todd was a fun party girl, but she was also a smart, savvy businesswoman. She opened a restaurant called the Thelma Todd Sidewalk Cafe, and she did this with partners movie director Roland West and his wife Jewel Carmen. Word was Thelma Todd was having an affair with Roland West. On December 14th, 1935, Thelma Todd attended a party in her honor. She arrived back to her apartment, which was over the restaurant, the Thelma Todd Sidewalk Cafe. She arrived back around 3 or 4 in the morning. A chauffeur dropped her off and asked her if she wanted to be escorted to her door, and she declined. Usually she said okay. On December 16th, Thelma Todd's maid was going to report for duty. Her job was to get Thelma ready for her day, and one of the first things she would do was get the car ready. And the car was parked at the home of Roland West and his wife, which was only about 500 yards away from Thelma Todd's restaurant. When the maid opened the garage door, she found Todd's body in the car, slumped over the wheel. She was still in her evening wear. Why did she go from her apartment to Roland West's house, the garage? Investigators who checked on the scene had some theories as to what happened. She died in accidental carbon monoxide poisoning. She probably got locked out of her apartment and walked over to Roland's house, which was nearby, to sit in her car. And she wanted to keep warm, so she started the car and the garage door was closed. This was the official grand jury decision, one in autopsy confirmed. But an autopsy also confirmed that Thelma Todd had broken ribs and a broken nose and a scratch on her face. Did she fall on her way to Roland's house because she was drinking? It doesn't make any sense. Her shoes weren't dirty, and her hair still looked very much in place. Did someone rough her up and then put her in the car? Roland West couldn't make sense of it either. Thelma Todd was locked out of the apartment before, and she had woken him up, even breaking a window once to get his attention. Another mystery. An acquaintance of Todd said she got a phone call from Todd 11 hours before the coroner said Todd was likely dead. She swears she talked to Thelma Todd herself. Another mystery. Undigested peas and carrots were found in Todd's stomach, and that wasn't served at the party she was at. When and where did she eat that? Someone could have picked her up from her locked apartment, taken her to eat, and then dropped her off at Roland's garage. Yet a bigger mystery. The key to Todd's apartment was found in her purse. This woman was clearly murdered, but by who and why? Everything was going her way. Her restaurant was a success, and she signed a new film contract. She was looking forward to Christmas. She had presents in her trunk. And she had a new man in her life. Who wanted Thelma Todd gone? Suspects included, of course, Roland West. Was he jealous of Todd's new man? Or was Thelma out of the picture and then he could own more of the restaurant business? Supposedly, on his deathbed, Roland West confessed that he was responsible because he accidentally locked Thelma Todd in the garage. Did he forget the part about beating her up and putting her in a running car? Roland West's wife, Jewel Carmen, is another suspect. Was she jealous because Thelma Todd and her husband were having an affair? She also didn't like the way that Thelma Todd was running the restaurant business. And what about Todd's ex-husband, Pat DiCicco? He was not happy about the divorce. And there was also talk that mobster Lucky Luciano had something to do with Todd's death. Did she owe him money? She had refused when he wanted to put a gambling facility, casino, as part of her sidewalk cafe. One thing is for certain, this case is mysterious. Who killed Thelma Todd? I think Thelma Todd went somewhere else after the party at 3 or 4 a.m. With that person, she went to eat some peas and carrots somewhere, and then she got dropped off at Roland West's house. So who did it, though? Was it the person she was eating with? Was it Roland West when he found that she was coming home so late with somebody else? It's just a mystery, but I think that's probably what happened. Who did it? We don't know. Are there any other Hollywood celebrity deaths that bug you have questions about? Let me know in the comments and I'll get back to you. We can discuss it. Meanwhile, push that notification button and like and subscribe, and I'll be talking to you again real soon. Take care.